Hello guys, just a quick update today. I'm not going to put out the video recording stuff, whatever. It's just going to be a real quick stuff. As we terminate the early activity session or the first part of the European session, there is something actually important and I think we need to update our scenarios in here. We normally get to deal with the US stock market only on those daily updates as a reference point, but at some point you know the correlations between all major indices. So as something showed up today on the European session, something significant enough for us to talk about, I thought about making a real quick update in here. So as you can see, huge inflow today, bullish gaps on the caching sessions, coming out of some flag consolidation structure. Oh, Jesus, fuck. And though gapping up, holding those gaps, inflow leading us right to the previous resistance level. We're now back into dealing with the coronavirus's gap on the cash market and on the futures market as well. So that is a very strong and dense technical area on top of our heads, because of course the question is, now that some US markets have managed their way right to historical highs, is the Europe about to do the same thing? I still have very mixed feeling regarding this. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Remember that a speculative trader doesn't really give a shit about what's right or wrong. We're not there to forecast the future, just highlighting areas in which speculative traders like us should be doing the same thing. So that is exactly what I think is at play right now. How are we going to be dealing with this previous gap area, and are we really going to open up historical highs trading into the European leading indices? I'm talking about the DAX index and the CAC 40, which is basically not having a look at the, you need to have a look at PX1GR. Okay, this one is with dividend included. Anyway, so back into the futures contracts, which is the one we deal with when we have a look at intraday trading. So of course, as we broke out of this consolidation that has been offering some trend following opportunity, as you can see, mature ranging on lower time frames in here, very mature, as basically we've made 8 range boundaries leading to the trend channel. So it's basically 1 hour chart consolidation that has gone on in here. So mature range, okay, reaching back to support trend channel, mature ranging signal, breaking it up. Definitely the classical stuff in which there is a trend following opportunity out there. So trend followers have jumped in, benefited from some kind of a topish euro dollar structure, saying, all right, it's really too overextended on your dollar. We're probably going to get a range, so let's profit from this, probably initiating more of a 48 hours type of inflow. Generally in the euro area, inflows definitely don't last very long, but still I tend to believe that we might eventually have something to occur. Not immediately, of course, because I tend to believe that we're dealing with ranges. This is definitely not a trending market context. We've reversed the context out there, so this target in here definitely is signaling very likely pose into the in-between movement, pretty much just like this one was, just like this one was, and this one was. We're definitely not into trending context. Anytime we try to accelerate, the market just stops immediately. So I think we've done the day, the gains for the day have already been piled in. So it's not about time to get in the euro area. Best case scenario, I think, is a flat consolidation, lateralizing this breakout to eventually get to go higher later on, which seems to be very likely, of course, because as we reach back to the previous market top in here, there is a very likely possibility that this market goes higher. It's just not an appropriate timing to buy right now. Wait for short-term ranges to build, to mature, and eventually get to trend follow later on. So, okay, so don't press the button right now. It's probably not appropriate. Anyway, is it a selling activity area? Definitely not, because of course, as we reach back to this previous market top, means I have to readjust my ongoing scenarios. Once again, I was wrong with the forecast. My previous forecast was this one, first trending wave. I thought this was another one, and that would have been a final excessive structure. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structures with an extended wave 1 actually seems not to be appropriately done. So something goes wrong. As we get back there, this is not enough of a consolidation for this entire structure. Okay, this would be just really way too fast. So yeah, I think something else must be assessed. So my personal favorite at the moment, still speculative of course, I don't know the future, would be eventually building a wedge structure in which the actual second wave would be that. okay, with constructive wave being shorter than the previous one, the first one being the most impactful one, and the other one building a wedge structure. So that is one of the possibilities that needs to be bear in mind. So there will be a speculative area on top of this 13.3K area. Of course, if this area doesn't work out, don't take it as for granted, but I doubt the DAX has the possibility to reach out to these market tops right now. So I think we don't have enough strength and energy to do it. And I feel like what we might be experiencing on top of 13.3K is exactly what we've done with the previous resistance, okay? We just take it for 24 hours, 48 hours at best, and then we retrace on this, and there's no support building out of here. So I suspect we're probably going to get on top of these levels, but very likely going to reject. And if that happens, or if there are some speculative reversal signals in there, I'll eventually get to be taking them. But until then, very speculative. But I wanted to share those areas with you guys. I'm still definitely not looking at any such a trend following stuff, whatever. The only available thing today was this breakout trade. I just totally missed it because I was in the car going back from school. So yeah, I got in way too late to try to follow this thing. So yeah, rather like to pass on this one. It's too bad, but that's it. That was a very interesting trade, by the way, but I mean, way too late for me. But that's what it is. Life always gets more important. So what matters to me is most importantly what's going to happen with the US index, because that's the ones we follow on those daily updates. So as I just said, I think the Europe has a little bit of potential within the latest, or let's say the end of this week, in which we should get on top of the 13.3K. So as long as there is upside potential, means any bearish signals will be undermined. And that is something that Wall Street can take huge advantage of, because as there are no sellers knows that they have to wait until the DAX actually get over the 13.3K. And I think in this perspective, this is where we can get the shittiest possible trading activity into the NASDAQ, totally going parabolic and stuff like that. So really, really be freakingly cautious within the next 2 to 3 days, because you can definitely see some real stupid stuff. We're squeezing the momentum on 4-hour chart for NASDAQ. We're squeezing up, which means we don't have enough liquidity and volatility. These things will absolutely reverse V-top. That's a 100% certainty thing. But the thing is just when and how much risk are you willing to take for this to show up. So until then, I suggest, even for very experienced traders, just stand the fuck by for a little while. Wait for these next few days, still have a look at speculative areas, but just bear in mind that when there is no seller in a market that is so heavily speculative is where the shit can really show up. So we might be seeing some very irrational stuff out there. Okay, that's something we've introduced yesterday, totally at play today. As I can see, this inflow in the European session means no one's going to be selling in the US for the next few days, or at least unless something very harsh and unexpected shows up, which I doubt is ever going to happen. So absolutely no sellers in this market, which with heavy speculative buyers in the market going day after day. So this is where really dumb stuff can show up. You can have a lot of volatility, but to the upside, either just like to the downside. So it's more like, don't try to make it anything rational out of it. It's just going to be dumb. All right, bye guys.